Welcome, everyone, to this edition of Stone Sundays, part of the Hoop Social Podcast Network. I'm your host for today, Trey Hill, and I'm joined by a different co-host today. Cold Iron is on vacation, so I reached out to Sean from Charity Stripe Commentary. He is always happy to help out. So, Sean, welcome to the show. Happy to have you. If you couldn't tell, that just hit me right in the face, and I just had to hesitate for a second because, sometimes it just smacks you right in the face.
Oh, I'm glad to be back, Trey. This is good times. The vape is just kicking in, and we're chilling on a Sunday. I love it.
Speaking of getting slapped in the face, Dame wants out. Everyone's been talking about Dame and Harden, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit, but I've been trying to think how can I talk about it and it not be the same conversation that everyone else has been having. So right now, everyone is digging in. Harden's not getting traded. Morey says he can stay there all year. Harden wants out. The Trailblazers dug in, said it could take months. So I think we all assumed they were waiting on Dame to get traded because he was the bigger piece. And then from there, they would kind of move on, like, the first domino. But with this maybe taking months for Portland, I think it's a real question. Who do you think gets traded first, Dame or Harden?
It's going to be Harden because of Embiid, because if Harden pulls his Houston and end of Brooklyn stuff on Embiid, he already lived through Ben Simmons. He doesn't need that again. He's trying to shut people up from the memes about him just going for the MVP, not caring about the playoffs, getting dusted in the playoffs again. They did take Boston to 7. That was commendable. But that's as far as we thought they would go. Whereas Portland Dame will play. That's what everybody's been saying is he's like Kevin Durant, he'll play. So if he does or doesn't, they'll probably be like, whatever, it doesn't matter. We're just waiting
I think it's a good point, though. Even if he doesn't play, Portland isn't looking to win this season. The 76ers, they have to accommodate Embiid. They have to make things work for him, and they have to look to be a winning team from the jump. So if Harden is sitting out, that's going to force their hand. Whereas even if Lillard sits out, it's not really forcing their hand as nearly as much because, Scoot's playing more. Like it's not as big of a deal for Portland. So I think that's a great point. So I'm assuming you don't think Dame gets traded before the season starts. Do you think Harden gets traded before the season, or do you think it bleeds into the season?
With Daryl Morey, I think he'll try and take it to the season. I don't see it getting to the trade deadline. I see him before New Year's. Harden's gone because Embiid will vocalize very quickly. It all depends on how Harden's playing. If Harden's actually playing, maybe we get to the trade deadline and he becomes a mercenary for another team. I wouldn't see that being a bad idea for him to do, but I think we're going to see him try a little and then it'll drop off quickly and Embiid will voice his displeasure and then Morey has to move.
Do you think he gets the fat suit out that he had in Houston?
It doesn't matter. Like he could basically just start chucking up threes, like just chucking them up from everywhere. And if he's just taking shots, not passing, he doesn't need to get out of shape. Like I wouldn't get out of shape because where you're going to go, you're going to want to be in shape and impress everybody. So
that's what the fat suit's for. He's still in shape, but it looks like he's not. It's a Jedi mind trick from the beard.
Yeah, that's true. I guess, yeah, but maybe we'll catch on.
I'm with you before the new year. I was going to say the trade deadline, but I'm willing to take a little step further. I'll go with you. I don't think 2023 ends with Harden on the roster. No. So I guess my next question really was for you. You're a Raptors fan, and you lost Fred VanVleet. I don't think you were super heartbroken about it, especially with the price tag. But what do you want to see the Raptors do from here? Like, do you want to continue the big and long project? Do you want to just scrap it? Can I interest you in Zach LaVine for Pascal Siakam? What do we want to do here, man?
That's not bad. Zach LaVine for Pascal. You'll probably have to throw in some more. But I think Zach LaVine's the type of player. I think just we're not playing for we're the Kings, the recent Kings, where you're just playing for the play-in, and you're just going to put on a good show. We're not going to. We need to rebuild. Um, Regarding the Fred VanVleet price tag, I will remind everybody that Hassan Whiteside got a max contract. The minute that happened, contracts values of contracts stop meaning anything to me because anybody can get paid anything if Hassan Whiteside's getting a max contract from Pat Riley. Like I don't know what happened, but that was the end of contracts meaning anything and value meaning anything. But Fred VanVleet, I wasn't a huge fan of him and Nick Nurse's understanding that he could just do whatever he wanted and didn't have to play defense if he didn't want to. Um, while the rookies had to. But it's new coach. I don't expect much. So let's just have a good time out there. Let's put up some points. Let's maybe get some stops, and we'll see what happens.
So at the end of the rookie year, I think if you looked at Scotty Barnes, you could say if he reaches his peak, it's like a poor man's Giannis mixed with a poor man's Durant. He can kind of do a little bit of everything. And at the top end, he was probably ranked out as a number one option on a contending team. Maybe not, like an overwhelming guy. Like he doesn't himself like a Jokic, but I think we saw the top end talent as potentially a number one guy. Sophomore year definitely was not the same. Do you think he's going to bounce back? I feel like he took the league by storm a little bit. He ended up winning Rookie of the Year, and then he kind of had the target on him after that. And the Raptors themselves didn't exactly have the best season. So, how are you feeling about the Barnes situation? And is he a guy? Is he a number one for you? And you're looking when you say you want to rebuild, are you looking to build around Barnes as your number one? Or are you looking at needing to find a way to bring in a number one option next to Barnes?
I think
Because I feel like that's way too like it's way easier to find a number two than it is to find a number one.
well, honestly, Scotty Barnes is, I would say, top end. You'd want Scotty Pippen. That's what you're looking for. I think he's going to be a good number two. If he's a number one, you're maybe sneaking into the Eastern Conference Finals, but you're competitive. However, I think if you get a good number one beside him, like if we were ever able to say get Ant into Toronto, like I think that would be a fearsome duo to go. Ant's taking a lot of the load and Scotty's doing the extras.
After seeing the Heat make the finals last year, I think you could talk me into swapping out Siakam for Zach LaVine, and that being a team that could get if everything clicked right, that could be a team that could make the finals because Zach can score from all three levels. He's a number one type option, even though he doesn't have the playmaking side of it. But because he can just score in bunches the way he does, I feel like that's something where the Raptors wouldn't even necessarily have to rebuild a whole lot. I like the team they have. I think they just need a nuclear scorer on the offensive end because that's the struggle. That's always been the struggle. And now with VanVleet gone, it's only going to get harder.
Yeah, it was weird with VanVleet and Lowry being the primary scorers the last couple of years because what you're talking about with Zach LaVine, that'd be like Vince Carter, having Vince Carter again where you can just score from anywhere. And that would be a good team. We'd probably play in the play-in, maybe a 6 seed or something like that. Nothing crazy. But I think it'll be fun, sell a bunch of tickets. We're rebuilding. Let's see Masai work his magic, start from scratch, see what he can do.
All right, I brought up Levine. Who are the two suitors for Siakam right now? I know Indiana's one, and was Atlanta the other one?
Yeah, I think it was Atlanta. There was a trade, and I'd love to get John Collins back. That'd be sick.
Well, you'd have to trade with Utah then, buddy, because he's already in Utah.
Oh, yeah, I
It's
forgot
the
about
offseason. I'll forgive you. But
that.
I think they were looking at something like DeAndre Hunter, and he definitely does
Oh,
not
yeah.
excite you the same way that John Collins does. I know how much you like John Collins. Um,
Yeah.
so it sounds like you're not super excited about either potential package from those two.
Oh, it's whatever. I don't expect much back.
So then
I,
why do the Bulls have to add more than Zach LaVine? Just take just a one from one, man.
yeah,
Just a
I'd
swap.
take that. I don't know. Do you have any good draft
Ladies
picks?
and gentlemen, this is negotiating 101. I already got Sean to just give up and say, all right, fine, let's just do the one for one.
Yeah, it's a
Uh,
lot of money for Zach, but it's a lot of money for Pascal. So
I
it's
was gonna say you're gonna have to pay Pascal even more, and it's gonna be an even longer deal because we've already got Zach signed, so you're looking at least a year less
yeah, I'll do
on
it.
that front. So,
I'll take it. I won't be hurt.
and for anyone who thinks Siakam and Patrick Williams couldn't play together, oh, I would love it. It would be my heart's delight if I could get Siakam in
Well,
Chicago.
well,
I
you
would
saw
drive Levine
Siakam
to
and
the
Scotty
airport.
Barnes. Like it's like that. It's gonna be good.
I mean, as long as you can get some scoring somewhere. And I still believe in Patrick Williams. I will always believe in Patrick Williams. Who there was one other guy I was going to ask you about, but I can't remember who it was. So I'm just going to move on from it. Anything else that you want to talk about league wide?
No, it's I all the Ben Simmons talk. I don't know why we're having it really at
What
all.
Ben Simmons talk?
I don't
People are
know.
talking about Ben Simmons. Who the
People
fuck's talking
keep
about Ben
mentioning.
Simmons? Oh wait, I've been trying to not cuss on these things, so that one slipped out. Who is talking about Ben Simmons?
I don't know. I've heard some chatter about people talking about him. Apparently, he had some workout video or something like that. I don't know. I'm just like, guys,
He's
I
on a team. Like he's not Dion Waiters. He doesn't need to be out here having an individual workout video to prove to people what he can do. Oh,
it
if
was funny
that's
because I
true, I'm gonna have to look that up.
it was funny because I saw an article where they were like, Ben Simmons still needs to let Australia know about the World Cup, and I'm like, it's like if I was the coach, I'd be like, yeah, cool. Let me know if you want to warm the bench and play,
Yeah,
the
you
end of
let me
game
know
minutes.
if you need some tickets so you can come watch the team. You can come watch the games. We'll hook you up with some tickets.
Yeah,
No, I didn't know anybody was talking about that. I'm wondering if a team is going to sign Io DeSumo from Chicago because he's still out there. He's still unsigned, and I would love to see him come back. I have a thing for long, lanky, active defensive guards who you might not be a starter, but you're a pest. You're a regular season innings eater, and I really hope to see him come back. But the real reason I wanted to have Sean on is because this man has had some of the most outlandish rookie takes that I've heard this year. And I mean, you've heard a lot of takes from a lot of places. Sean, however, is he has beliefs, and I wanted to get them on the record. So,
sure.
Sean, I wanted to give you the room for devil's advocate because we know you do not think the way the majority thinks about this draft class.
Yeah, no. I think Scoot's probably one of the top prospect. Should have been the top prospect. The idea of Wemby is great in 2K when you can turn injuries off. But I'm starting to hear a lot of people come to the side that I've always been on, where I don't think he's going to be as big of an impact player as people think. I think he'll be a middle of the road number 1 pick. Um, yeah, Ace, they're already talking about like the people that saw him live were like, looked a little hairy around his ankles and knees, and maybe needs to put on some weight. And I'm like, yeah, thanks,
That's why he's
thanks for
going to play
coming
the
out,
four.
guys. Yeah, it's like thanks for coming out, guys. Like, yeah, he goes in there, sure, he blocks a shot and then has his knees like buckled under, and it's over. That's
So injuries aside, when you look at him on the court, are you seeing like a Rudy Gobert on defense with say like maybe a Porzingis type offensive game?
it's he the dribble is like him wanting to dribble. A lot of people are talking about that, and that's not very good. Like they talk about Kevin Durant, but Kevin Durant knows how to get low. Wemby does not know how to get low. He was playing against inferior talent before, and now when you see him against people of his caliber, he's not as transcendent as you would think. And I think the defensive thing, we'll see, but I don't think offensively. I think he's going to be. It's the Evan Mobley, as we're seeing with Evan Mobley. It's the defense is there, but the offense has not come along the way we thought it would.
That's an even better take than I expected to get out of you. So he's just Evan Mobley on offense.
Yeah.
Oh, that is delightful. All right, who else do you hate? Give me some more. Just spew that hot fire. All right. So you think Scoot's number one? How are you feeling about Brandon Miller?
Brandon Miller, I can understand why Charlotte was going to do that. If you bring in Scoot, he's going to dominate LaMelo, and that's not going to be good because you just paid LaMelo a ton of money.
Can I play devil's advocate on this side? We watch the playoffs. You got to have two guys who can run things. Like, for me, yeah, they might have overlapped a little bit in the regular season, but LaMelo misses games every year. Maybe it'd be good for him to play 28 minutes a game.
Oh. So it's 28 minutes a game for that money. I guess you're like me. You don't really care about value in dollars.
Well, if that's what it takes to be healthy come playoff time, and if you can go hard for those, bump it up to 30 then, play 30 minutes a night. Then come playoffs, you can play 36 minutes a night. You can play 40 minutes a night. But if you have Scoot, that's a possibility. Or say LaMelo gets hurt again at the beginning of the season. The second half of the year, you could bring him back a lot slower if you have somebody who is in the same kind of vein. Whereas I think Summer League has showed Brandon Miller, he's not, as much as he likes to play make, he's not the number one playmaker on a team. He's not the guy who's going to run things on the offensive end. He's just going to be a knockdown number two. And that's great with LaMelo. I think it can be a great fit. But I wanted them to pick Scoot before just because I think he's that good. And I like the idea of having two number ones come playoff time because defenses they crank down so hard.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I think Brandon Miller is going to be a good number two to LaMelo. And in a perfect world, if LaMelo can play most of the season, that's a pretty good team. And in the playoffs, they're going to do really well. Potentially could take a number one to the seventh game or something like that. But yeah, I think they saw, I don't know if LaMelo could handle Scoot being on the team. Like, I think it would just for that kind of money, like, remember who his father is. Eventually that's going to happen. Like, eventually the father's going to happen. And it's going to get bad.
I could see them having an ego, but I don't know. I like the fit. What can I say?
It would have been a great fit. If he didn't have LeVar Ball as a father.
So if Wemby is Evan Mobley, who is Chet?
Like Chet, I'm out on Chet too. It's the same thing as the Wemby. Like, he's too skinny. It's not like he's Sean Bradley. Like,
okay, Sean Bradley, that's a good one. I was trying to think of somebody a little more modern, but we can show our age here.
No ageism here.
All right, so do you have Scoot then as your favorite for Rookie of the Year?
Yeah. If Scoot's,
you're like, duh.
Healthy,
this is dumb.
It's honestly like Damon Stoudemire's rookie year with Toronto, where the team had no aspirations, and he just got to run up and down the court, passing and scoring as much as he could. And he played to the Rookie of the Year like it wasn't even close. Like, go back to that season. It was David Stoudemire the whole way.
All right, so Paolo last year, he averaged 20 and 7, basically 20.7 rebounds, 3.5 assists. Do you think, so that's basically 30. If you add all of them up, do you think between points, rebounds, and assists, Scoot averages 30? Because I do. I think between rebounds, assists, and points, he's getting 30. He might even hit 35.
Yeah, I think he can be a 25 and 5 guy, like, or even higher assists, but I think 5 for rebounds is not a
Yeah,
stretch
35,
for
35 was the weed hitting me. But yeah, 30 I think is very fair to expect from him.
yeah, yeah, I think 30 is no problem at all. Um, I definitely would see that happening.
All right, so if it's not Scoot, is Grady Dick your favorite for rookie of the year? I know he's not, but I don't know who else I would have.
Yeah,
Um,
I
the
it
big
was
ones are,
probably
you know,
Scoot and the field. Well, you have to put Wemby in there. They're gonna have Wemby. It's Scoot, Wemby, maybe Brandon Miller. Like if Lamelo
Chet's
goes
definitely
down,
in there.
yeah, and you got Chet. So you've got a top five, and then it's the field after that. I would
Right.
say.
Yeah, I'm picking Scoot too, but I don't know. No, I'm picking Wemby. I think he's going to average like 4 blocks a game because I don't think, especially if he's playing the four, I don't think guys are going to be the spatial awareness. They're going to think they're open and they're going to shoot, and Wemby is going to come out of nowhere and block things. I think he's going to get at least a block, one of those a game, and guys are going to be like, "Wait, if I'm open, I'm not open," and they're just going to hesitate. So I think Wemby is going to get it based purely on his defense. I
Where do
think he's
you
going to
see?
struggle on offense, but I like his defense.
And what do you think is going to be his struggle on offense? What's going to be his downfall?
I mean, they're going to want him to create. They're going to want him to kind of work through things, and I think he wants to dribble more than he should. I think once a few years passes, and he might not put on a lot of weight, but just as you get older, you get sturdier. Like it's going to be easier for him to set screens and make contact and roll through it or pop out through it. So I think once he gets there and he gets used to the league and the way it works, he can find his roles. I don't think he's ever going to be the number one option on an offense, um, unless maybe I don't know about his passing, but with his height, he might be able to be like a 1A with a good 1B. But for me, I just see him as a really good number two on offense and a dominant defensive guy.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think his downfall will be playing out in the perimeter too much. He needs to be down low. Unfortunately, the Spurs don't have a point guard per se that you want running that offense.
Right. So I think on defense they're going to run him like Robert Williams in Boston. They're going to put him on a corner shooter, and then he can kind of roam and just be big. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's ideal for him. That's probably why he insists on wanting to be a four. He knows that he can't handle uh, the wear and tear of being a five. And I dinged him a little bit for going to where he's only playing one game every 6 days and all this stuff, but he seems to have a really good idea of his limitations, of how skinny he is, and I feel like they are doing things to mitigate that. So I'm hopeful, but there's a decent chance you might be right about Wemby, and we look back on it like we look back on Greg Oden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I don't think it's going to be as bad as Greg Oden. That was just something. I think Wemby's had some of the best medically and everything like that to get to where he is. I think he's been put in the best situation. And maybe nowadays in American high school, like AAU, you'd have good enough resources for it. But I think he's as what if he doesn't pull through, it's never going to happen for people that big. Um, but yeah, I think the Spurs are the best situation he could have asked for. Anywhere else, like I'd be doubling, tripling down on like how bad. Like if he went to Houston, oh my god, what an absolute nightmare.
All right, we normally end with a cold iron strain of the week. I got nothing on that. So instead, I'll hit you with the start bench cut. We're talking about LaMelo anyway. His draft class, you got Ant, LaMelo, and Halliburton. Who are you starting? Who are you benching? And who are you cutting?
Cutting Lamelo, that part's
Yep,
easy.
that's easy.
Oh man, it totally depends on the team regarding Halliburton or Ant. Uh, I'd have to go Halliburton start and Ben Chance.
Yes, me too. That's where I'm at.
Uh,
Welcome to the dark side.
That one's really good. That's a really good one. I
It's a
like
good one,
that.
right? It's a
Yeah.
good one. All right, man. Well, you can follow me on Threads at Finally. Sean, are you doing any social media? You got anything you want to plug?
No.
Join the Hoop Social Discord. That's where Sean's
Yes.
at. You can come talk to
Yes.
Sean in the Discord. I'm in there too. Thanks for listening to this edition of Stone Sundays, and have a good one.
Peace.